Hello everyone and welcome to Journey into the Unknown, Space, Law and Policy in the 21st Century. I'm your professor, Glenn Torres-Spelliscy. Thanks for joining me. As we get started, I thought it might be helpful for me to go over what I hope to achieve in the class and how those objectives are tied to the various coursework we're going to do this year. I'm really excited to be teaching this course. I've always been sort of a space geek, but not really in the sci-fi way, although there are certainly some great space-based sci-fi out there. What I mean is that I've always really enjoyed learning about actual space. I like the idea of human exploration as a quest for knowledge, as an attempt to understand how all of this came to be. I'm very pleased to be your guide on what I anticipate will ultimately be a challenging, but certainly a stimulating journey and semester. So let's talk about learning objectives and how they tie into the various assignments. I think we all benefit when we have clear objectives, so that's what I want to do here. Explain to you the why of our various activities. When I thought about crafting this course and how to put it together, I thought about the basic skills that someone starting out as a space policy analyst, particularly in a growing industry like space, what type of skills you might need. And I came up with what I think are 5 critical skills that we'll work on developing during our course. In a fast-growing industry like space, you need to have a strong knowledge of the things that are happening in the area. It's going to be a lot of pretty exciting stuff, and it's moving quickly, and a lot of it is giving rise to kind of novel issues of law and policy. Now, we don't have to become experts on each individual issue, but we do want to know enough that we can converse intelligently should a particular topic come up. The primary means by which we're going to do this is through our weekly readings and the videos, and I've selected a wide range of topics that I think represent some of the most important space policy issues facing us as a community. Now, this is not an exhaustive selection, and it couldn't possibly hope to be. We couldn't hope to study everything going on in the world of space exploration and development. But I think this is a pretty good representation of the various significant issues we have, ranging from space debris to asteroid mining to even eventually space colonization. The primary way that I'm going to assess your mastery of this skill is through the final exam. It'll be multiple choice and it's open book. It's designed to test how closely you did the readings and how well you retained the information. It's designed to test your ability to recall key facts, which is a skill that all policy analysts must have. You'll have a couple of attempts, so prepare well and you should be absolutely fine. One of the primary things that you are asked to do as a policy analyst is to kind of craft quick summaries of issues in order to provide them to a decision maker. So as an analyst, your job in crafting these briefs is to read and digest a substantial amount of information, and then to be able to summarize it in a short document. The primary means by which we're going to master this skill is through the crafting of our discussion board postings. So doing the readings will actually prepare you for 2 of the different assessments in the course, both the discussion forums and the final exam. So how will these discussion forums work? Well, in each forum there'll be a short topic written by me. And at the end of that post there'll be a question or a research topic based on the materials we have covered in the week. Each student will then craft a response regarding the question posed and post it in the discussion forum. I would encourage you to read and respond to other postings as well. It isn't required, but it can help you support your learning and certainly help you build community, and that can be difficult in online classes. in addition to crafting short-form pieces, short-form writing, a policy analyst will also be required to engage in long-form written pieces that demonstrate expertise in a particular topic. These are projects that usually take weeks or even months to prepare. Here, the analyst engages in a deep examination of relevant facts and laws, and careful analysis of alternative policy approaches to determine which one is best likely to meet our policy goals. The analyst essentially becomes a valuable resource to be used by decision makers in coming to a decision. The assessment associated with this skill will be the written position paper. I do think that choice is important in the learning process, so I'm leaving the choice of the topic up to you, subject to my approval, of course. I want you to become an expert in something that you are interested in. You can pick a topic from one of the issues in the course, or you can even pick a topic that we don't cover. I'm pretty open to a range of topics provided it touches on some issue involving space. Now, this is by far the most difficult assignment, and you should spend weeks working on this. What am I going to be looking for here? Well, first, I'm going to be looking for something that is generally well written and well constructed. As I often tell people, sometimes how you say something is as important as what you say. The ability to communicate complicated information concisely and coherently is a critical skill. So spend time on your writing, plan to have multiple drafts, plan to rework sections, plan to do a close proofread, and if there is someone that you trust, plan to have them read it too. Think about how your paper is structured. What role does each paragraph play in advancing your argument? When I'm writing, I like to reduce each paragraph to a sentence, and then I read those sentences back. This helps me determine if the story that I'm telling makes sense, and where there might be holes that I need to fill. And then obviously, I'm looking for substance. I want you to demonstrate expertise on the topic. Understand the facts and the laws and the potential options. Think deeply about what policy goals are most important and which are most achievable. If you have any questions, if you want to discuss strategy and how to prepare, reach out to me. I'm happy to help, so don't hesitate to use me as a resource. One of the most important and often most neglected skills to develop as a potential policy analyst is the ability to make a persuasive oral presentation of your viewpoint. In most circles, meetings provide a significant source of decision-making points and opportunities as well. So being able to present your ideas credibly and concisely and confidently in a meeting setting, that's a crucial skill to develop. Now, because this is an online class, we don't have a traditional in-person meeting setting. That said, the number of traditional in-person meetings is becoming increasingly limited. Digital communication is becoming the primary form of spreading ideas, and they are spreading at breathtaking speed. So learning how to communicate effectively in the digital world is a critically important skill. And that is why we are going to do this oral presentation, to build both your skills in orally presenting a topic as well as your skills in digital media creation. The oral presentation will focus on the same topic as the written paper, so there's no need to learn new facts or new laws. Importantly, I will have probably responded with comments on your written papers before the oral presentation is due. You'd probably be wise to take my comments into account in preparing your oral presentation. So what am I looking for? Well, let's start with substance. Think about your oral presentation like a movie version of a book. Anyone who has ever seen their favorite movie converted from a book knows that the books are far more detailed. There are often entire storylines or characters that are left out of the movie version. Similarly, when you are presenting your ideas orally, you need to make choices about what is important to include and what can be left out. It's not just reading your paper. Your audience can do that on their own time. You only have 5 to 7 minutes for the presentation, so make the key points quickly and concisely. Think about how to effectively tell the story. Now, as I said, the second part of this assignment is about building some digital media skills. Being able to produce quality digital media content is a marketable skill in the modern world, and choosing the right technology to present your ideas is critical. So spend some time thinking about your choices. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not expecting perfection here. but most basic presentation programs are powerful enough to create compelling content. If you need help with what technology choices to make, let's talk. I've seen a lot of different approaches over the decades that I've been teaching, and I can probably guide you to some sort of solution. Now, I do allow some creativity here. Most students will choose to do a simple slide presentation with a video embedded into the slides. It's a strong approach that allows you to convey both written and oral messages to the audience. It's a valuable skill. I've also had some students who have more advanced editing skills, treat it more like a documentary-style video with moving images, voiceovers, music, and that's fine too. I have even okayed one student's request to do a poetry slam as a presentation. If you have a creative approach that you would like to take, reach out to me and let's discuss it. The final significant skill that we will look to develop is your advocacy skills. Part of the policy analyst's job is to try to get other decision makers to agree and support the position. This is particularly critical in government situations, where you may be called on to convince multiple lawmakers of the wisdom of the preferred approach. We are going to do this while taking advantage of one of our constitutional rights protected by the First Amendment, the right to petition the government. That's a legal way of saying the right to ask the government to do something. Each student will seek to engage in persuasive advocacy to convince their member of Congress to adopt the policy position they advocated for in their written paper. Now, the assessment associated with this skill will be the Lobby for Space assignment. It's a letter you're going to write, and the point here will be to condense your policy recommendation from your written paper into a short 1 to 2 page letter. There are detailed instructions on the LMS as to how the letter should be structured, and you are encouraged to use any template that comes with word processing programs to make sure that you have the proper letter format. If you need help identifying your member of Congress, look here. In grading this assessment, I'm going to be looking to make sure that you have the proper letter structure. I'll be looking to see if you clearly convey your position, and if you present some compelling evidence in support of it. Follow the steps outlined in the course website, and you'll do fine. The choice, of course, as to whether to actually send the letter, that's up to you. But I would encourage you to do it. Trust me when I tell you that Congress people care what their constituents are interested in. Study after study shows that constituent contacts make a difference, and is in fact one of the most important rights in our democracy. Okay, well that does it. I hope this has been useful and that you now understand why we're doing certain assignments and what I hope that we can gain from the course. I'm really looking forward to learning with you this semester, growing and helping you develop these skills throughout the work we're doing. And remember, this is a process. You won't be perfect on day one. The idea is to grow and develop these skills over the course of the entire semester. I give a lot of feedback along the way, and if you ever want additional time with me, just ask. We can set up a digital meeting. Good health to you this semester, and I will see you on the discussion boards.